Hi, my name's Amanda. I'm out in Oregon, and I'm calling regarding the FEMA National Flood Insurance Program.
Mhm.
You may or may not know that flood insurance is federally mandated
Oh,
for
I know.
homes in flood zones across the entire United States.
Hmm.
And it's only been until recently that the private sector has been able to come in and help bring prices down. For many years, FEMA was the only option, a monopoly, and the cost of flood insurance just was crazy high. My question to you is, how will you encourage the continued privatization and continued private markets to come in and combat some of these government monopolies and help bring prices down on things like flood insurance?
That's a great question. Do you want to take that first, Matt, or do you want me to take it? We both
So
live in flood zones, so
yeah, we both live in flood zones, and I used to be in real estate, so I've had to deal with this a lot.
then I'll let you take it first, and I'll give my thoughts, unless they're exactly what you just said, which there's a good chance it will be.
One of the reasons that the private industry didn't get into flood insurance until I believe that was 6 years ago, if I remember correctly, was because they legally were not allowed to. Because of
Yep.
restrictions on the market, they could not do it. So allowing them to get in, removing those restrictions, removing those barriers, and allowing private insurance companies to do flood insurance as well will definitely open up the market and it'll lower the costs. Basically, that's really all you need to do. Right now, I think only a few companies are able to do it. I haven't looked into it in years because I left real estate because it's an awful, awful business. Um, but I think that if you, oh, sorry, I think that only a few companies are allowed to do it right now. But if you were to open that up to multiple, like to every company that does insurance, that would drive the price down exponentially, and you
Absolutely.
wouldn't have to do that anymore.
Yeah, and also not require it in the first place, and that's a big one there because it makes sense to get flood insurance if you're in a flood zone, but when you mandate it, you create a captive market. And then when you restrict the number of options you can get it from, you create an even worse captive market. You create a situation where they only have one option and they can't say no to it. And that's why the cost went up as much as they did. And it was built on the flimsy pretext that if left to its own devices, people wouldn't be able to have a sustainable flood insurance market. Well, why wouldn't they? The demand is there and the supply is there. So let it do its thing. So the answer to how to make it happen is at the federal level. Joe Jorgensen would get us out of flood insurance because there's nothing in the Constitution that says anything about flood insurance or insurance at all. It has nothing to do with the federal government. It's arguable that even the state government shouldn't be involved, but the federal government absolutely should not be involved. And the skewed definition of commerce that is constantly abused by the Supreme Courts and the Congress and the president to justify ever increasing infringements on our lives and rights and properties and decision-making ability and our wealth is a direct insult to the Constitution and the purpose of restricting restricting what government's supposed to be involved in. And if that paper is worth anything, and if the government that it's governed under is worth anything, then it should be existing only within its actual limitations. And so Joe Jorgensen would end the involvement in the flood insurance market and simply allow people to choose their flood insurance. The best way to fix things is to get government out of it, so that now there are three ways that people can cooperate with each other or interact with each other for the things that they need: cooperation, competition, and coercion. Cooperation and competition is the best way forward. Coercion is what government gives you, forcing you into situations that often don't work, and they don't care because they don't have to convince you that it's a good idea. They just have to convince you that you better do it or you're going to get in trouble. And so get government out of it and let the market do its thing. Let people get the insurance that they need from whoever wants to provide it. That will bring down the cost, bring up the access, and allow for a price equilibrium that will happen as a natural result of the market simply doing what it does.